Maayong adlaw sa tanan. Welcome back to my channel again. So, today we will be discussing on how to rationalize the denominator of radicals. Okay? So, before that, let us first define what is rationalizing or unsa ba jud nang rationalizing the denominator. So, it says here that rationalizing the denominator means the process of removing radicals in the denominator. So, in other words, muna siya ang process niya, dapat mawala ang mga radicals sa denominator niya. Okay? So, muna siyang, that is what we call rationalizing the denominator. So, before we can proceed to our examples, let us first consider some ideas, no, to ponder, no, before we go to the examples. Okay, take note that in rationalizing a binomial denominator, unsay pasabot a binomial denominator? Buot pasabot kung duwa na two term na iyang denominator. For example, miingon ta og 2 over 3 minus 2i. Okay? So, duwa na yung denominator, 1, 2. So, meaning, binomial na yung denominator. Now, it's here, suppose we have the square root of 3 na siya. Kaya, nalugarta. Okay. To rationalize a binomial denominator, so muna itong buhaton, we just simply multiply both the numerator and then the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So, magamit daw tag-conjugate sa denominator kung binomial na or two terms na iyang denominator. No, kung masagtan, pariani. Example man nato as binomial iyang denominator 2 over square root of 3 minus 2i. So, ato daw siyang multiplyan both iyang numerator, denominator, by the conjugate of the denominator. So, but pasabot, mag-multiply ta o square root of 3, kahit negative man na siya, so plus po. Opposite niya nga sign class. So, mo na iyang but pasabot, no? We multiply both the numerator and then the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. Kung conjugate, opposite siya nga sign. Kung plus ni diri, minus po na din na. Naka-follow ta, class? Okay, conjugate ta, opposite niya nga sign. Okay. So, mo ni siya, kung binomial ang denominator, we just simply multiply the numerator and then the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. Meaning, opposite niya sign sa denominator. So, ato siyang i-multiply. Kung sa itong i-multiply sa denominator, mo po na ito i-multiply dito sa taas sa numerator. Okay? Number 2, rationalizing a one radical term. Meaning, isa ra jud ka radical sa denominator. So, what we're going to do, we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same radical of the denominator. Kung unsa daw ang radical sa denominator, mura pud to imong i-multiply pud sa iya sa both sa numerator denominator. Kay atong objective kay mawala man jud ang radical sa denominator. Okay? Okay. So let's apply that to our examples here. So suppose we have example number 1. You are given, rationalize the following. Okay, 3 over square root of 7. So, naa siya sa number 2 nga note, no? One radical term ra siya. Isa ra yung radical sa denominator. So, sa itong buhaton, we will multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same radical of the denominator. So, ang radical sa denominator is square root of 7 man, so may tabuan na. You have to just copy, then multiply. Kay square root of 7 man ang denominator niya, square root of 7 Japon siya imong i-multiply sa numerator o sa denominator. So mamali imong i-multiply sa numerator, kanipod imong i-multiply sa denominator. No, kay atong purpose again, mawala ning mga square root sa or any radical sa denominator. So let's continue. Let's multiply 3 times square root of 7. So we just copy 3 square root of 7, right? All over square root of 7 times square root of 7. That is the same as square root of 7 squared. Correct? Or square root of 49. Nara sa inyo Okay? So, you have 3 square root of 7. Okay? Square root of 7 squared. Take note sa atong laws of radical number 1. kung pareha ang index o ang iyang power, makancel. So, meaning to say, cancel na to, si radical o ang 2, ang mabilin, you have 7 na lang. Okay? Pwede po, kung di mo ganan anak, dili, it's just the same. 3 square root of 7 over square root of 7 times square root of 7 is square root of 49. Paano yun naman, Japon? So, you just copy 3 square root of 7 over, what is the square root of 49? So, you have just 7. So, the same na Japon siya. No? So, naroon din na sa inyo kung asa mo comfortable mo gamit ana. Okay? So, nawala na. Nawala na ang radical. No? Rational number na nabilin. Okay, more mo na itong purpose. When we say rationalizing the denominators, dapat wala na joy radical sa denominator. Okay? So, I hope natin nasabtan sa example number 1. Okay? Now, let's move on to example number 2. Okay, you are given 5 square root of 2 over square root of 5. Again, isa ra kabuk iyang denominator which is square root of 5. So, sa itong buhaton, we just simply multiply the numerator and the denominator by square root of 5. No? That's it. So, we just copy 5 square root of 2 over square root of 5. So, times square root of 5 man yung denominator. So, muna ito i-multiply sa numerator pati sa iyang denominator. Okay, let's continue. So, you have 5 square root of 2 times 5 square root of 5. So, you have 5 square root of 2 times 5, you have 10. All over. Kung gusto mo og square root of 25, so walay problema. No? Pwede po 5 squared ninyo. Nara dyan sa inyo ha. So, square root of 5 times square root of 5 is square root of 25. So, again, padayon, you have 5 square root of 10. What is the square root of 25? So, that is simply equal to 5. Right? So, are we true? Dili pa, kaya pwede pa man nato ma-reduce ang fraction na may common sa numerator o denominator, which is 5. So, we can cancel 5. So, what is left? You have square root of 10. Okay? Muna answer. If you have your calculator, try to check whether we are correct or not. No? Imura na siyang type nimo sa imong calculator, so you would come up with these answers. Okay? So, klaro na? Okay? So, another example, number 3. 4 over 3 square root of 5. So, laylay siya mga example, no? Laylay of type. So, here, observe that in our radical, na ay 3, no? Multiplied to the radical 5. So, isa na nato. Again, isa naman Japon yung radical, which is square root of 5. So, i-multiply Japon nato both the numerator and then the denominator by the radical 5. No? So, meaning to say, you will just copy 4 over 3 square root of 5. So, we multiply the numerator by square root of 5, then the denominator by square root of 5. Okay? Kuha na to, class? Okay. So, padayon ta. You have now 4 times square root of 5, 4 square root of 5, over 3 square root of 5 times square root of 5, you have 3 square root of 25. Okay? So, continue. You just copy 4 square root of 5. Take note ha, you cannot multiply 4 and square root of 5. Nga imo i-multiply si 4 of 5. Never. You just copy this one. Kasi 4 is not a radical. They're not the same. Okay? Over 3. What is the square root of 25? You have 5. Okay? So, let's continue. Copy the numerator. 4 square root of 5 over, what is 3 times 5? You have 15. Okay? So, naabot tayo common? Ma-reduce pa ba na to si 4 o si 15? Dili na. So, that's the final answer. Okay? Nasabtan, basta ilunaan ni class, kani 3 square root of 5. Square root of 5, bra, imong i-multiply sa numerator, denominator. Nakuha, di na ka mag-apil og 3. Si radical na atong gi-copy. Okay? Now, let's move on to our next example. So, this is another type of example na nga, binomial na iyang denominator, no? You are given 5 over 3 minus square root of 2. So it is very clear na duwa na iyang kuan diri. 2 terms na iyang denominator. Meaning to say, binomial na siya. No? So unsa itong binomial? We just simply multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. Opposite sign sa denominator. So in other words, we just copy 5 over 3 minus the square root of 2 times. Unsay conjugate niya? So we just copy 3, opposite niya nga sign. So negative man ni siya din eh. So we write plus. Then we just copy the radical square root of 2. Then multiply punta ana dito sa numerator na 5. Okay? Okay, mo na siya tong kuan. We multiply both the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator, which is 3 minus man siya. So yung conjugate is 3 plus. Okay? So let's continue. We just simply multiply. So 5 times 3, you have 15. Then 5 times square root of 2 is just equal to plus 5 square root of 2. Ibuta ka lang mo si 5 dito tapad kanto ka. Di man sila pareha, correct? Okay, over. Okay, 3 times 3, you have 9. Then minus square root of 2 times square root of 2, you have square root of 4. Okay? So, padayon ta. So, you have here. Okay. You just copy 15 plus 5 square root of 2 over 9 minus, what is square root of 4? We have now, that is just equivalent to 2. Okay? Okay, so let's continue. You have 15 plus 5 square root of 2. What is 9 minus 2? You have 7. Naabot tayo ma-reduce sa ilaha? Common sa numerator, denominator, wala. So this would be our final answer. Okay? Sige. So we're done with this example. Now let us proceed to another type of example wherein the denominator is both radicals, no? You can see you have the square root of 5 and the square root of 3. So again, this is just the same as what we did in example number 4. We just multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of this denominator. Okay. So first, we just copy 2 square root of 2 over square root of 5 plus square root of 3. Then again, as I have said a while ago, we will multiply both the numerator and the denominator by its conjugate. Conjugate ni denominator. So, kay plus man siya, so minus po iyang conjugate. Okay? Klaro ba? So, the same, ato siyang i-multiply dito sa numerator. Okay? So, from here, we do now the multiplication. So, in other words, you will multiply 2 square root of 2 times square root of 5, 2 square root of 2 times the negative square root of 3. So, here. Okay. What is 2 square root of 2 times square root of 5? You just copy 2. What is 2 times 5? So, that is square root of 10. Okay? So, kanina po, 2 square root of 2 times square root of 3. So, you just copy minus because there's a minus na operation. You copy 2. What is square root of 2 times square root of 3? That is square root of 6. Naka-follow ta, class? Okay. Again, we just distribute 2 square root of 2 to each term. Meaning to say, we multiply 2 square root of 2 to square root of 5, 2 square root of 2 times negative square root of 3. So, mao ni ang answer. Okay. The same Japon ta sa denominator. Kana, ato i-multiply ana. Kana, ato i-multiply ana. Okay? So, square root of 5 times square root of 5 is square root of 25. Correct? Then, you just copy. Plus times negative. So, klaro kayo siya minus because this is just an example of difference of two squares. So square root of 3 times square root of 3, you have square root of 9. Okay? So again, padayon dyan punta. 2 square root of 10 minus 2 square root of 6 over, what is square root of 5? 25, that is 5. You copy minus, what is square root of 9 again? We have 3, right? So let's continue, Japon. You just copy 2 square root of 10 minus 2 square root of 6 all over, what is 5 minus 3? You have 2. Okay. Are we through? Mananabata? Wala pa. Because we can still reduce this to its lowest term. Kana may common sa numerator, denominator, correct? This is just the same as 2 square root of 10 over 2 minus 2 square root of 6 over 2. So, unsa may ilang mga common? Silang common, you have 2, of course, no? You could cancel 2. You could cancel 2. So, what would be our final answer? You just copy square root of 10 minus square root of 6. Okay? So, inunana ra siya pag-rationalize sa denominator. So, I hope na mo'y nasabtan ani nga topic. So, sa atong next video, that would be the operations of radicals, meaning to say, I will introduce to you how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide radicals. So, daghang salamat and advance Merry Christmas.